Fellas, UFC 306 is just around the corner. Here are my final fight predictions. We're at the Sphere. It's gonna be bigger than life. The show's gonna be huge, and they brought the card to match. Sean O'Malley, Merab Dvalishvili leading up the charge, followed by Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko. I mean, as good of a women's fight as you can make. These guys are fighting for a third time. The last one, ultra competitive. And then we got Brian Ortega, Diego Lopez. This is got fight of the night written all over it. Following that, rest of the main card, Daniel Zellhuber, Esteban Ribovic, a couple of up-and-comers. These guys are both kind of streaking, should be exciting. And then Lazy Boy, Ronaldo Rodriguez, and Ode Osborne kind of stole the press conference, yeah? We're gonna dig into the three kind of big ones on the main card, Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez. I don't even know what to expect. I wanna say that I have an idea of how this fight's gonna go, but T-City, Brian Ortega, again, as tough as it comes, 16-3 in the UFC. His only losses, Yair Rodriguez, broken shoulder, doesn't count. He lost to Volk and he lost to Max Holloway. That's it. I mean, this guy's fought the best of the best and he's only lost to top tier. When he came back and fought Yair for real, he fucking rolled his ankle in the warm-up and then went through hell and then submitted Yair with a triangle arm choke. Disgusting. So Brian Ortega, as live as it comes, again, you're looking at a guy that's only lost to the best of the best. But then on the flip side, you got Diego Lopez, who's kind of a rising star. Still relatively, I mean, this guy's fought, I think, what, 5 times in the UFC now, but he still feels very fresh. He's super active. Lost in his debut to Mozart Evloev, but that's kind of his launching pad. That fight was so good, so competitive. And Mozart's 18-0. He's ranked at the top of that division. And in his UFC debut, Diego Lopez walked in there and just rolled. Diego Lopez made this a fun fight. Leg bars, triangle chokes, non-stop. And then he just went on a tear. First round armbar, first round KO, first round KO. And then with Dan Ige on like 5 minutes notice, on a short notice fight as it was, this is the one Brian Ortega fell out of. He has a 3-round war. Diego Lopez is a gamer. When I'm picking this fight, it's hard to say that either of these guys are getting submitted. Like, it would feel wrong to say that, and very well could be. But they're both so proficient on the ground, it's hard to say that they're gonna get submitted. I think the pressure of Diego Lopez is gonna take over. If I'm picking, I got Lopez in this one, but that's got fight of the night written all over it. On to the next one, Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko, numero 3. Great fight. Great fight. All 3 of their fights have been exciting. First fight, obviously Alexa kind of wins in stunning fashion. Valentina Shevchenko hasn't been beat in forever. I think her last loss before this was to Amanda Nunes, and that was in 2017. So Alexa Grasso with a stunner, just a magical moment in sports. Comes out, stuns Valentina Shevchenko with a face crank, didn't even get it under her neck. And then comes back the second fight, and this one's super competitive. I got it 2-2 going into the final round, and then Grasso just kind of took over. I know it's a little controversial. You know, the scorecards were a little weird. I think there's a odd 10-8 on there, but in my opinion, Grasso won this fight. I think she's gonna do it again. I think she just has her number. I think it's gonna be competitive just like the first time. She looked good, dropped her in the last fight, choked her in the first fight. I think she's just got Valentina's number. I think Valentina, 36 now, she's getting up there in age. I got Alexa Grasso taking this one, but that takes us to the big one. The man who this card was built around, Sean O'Malley and Merab Dvalishvili. What a matchup. Sean O'Malley, sniper on the feet, known for knocking people out. Then you got Merab Dvalishvili, who's just a literal madman. High pressure, never runs out of gas. This is your classic striker versus wrestler. Sean O'Malley for the division is tall. I think that's where aside from him being a certified sniper, that's where a lot of his advantage comes from. Merab Dvalishvili, gonna go for the takedown, gonna get it. I guarantee. I would not be surprised if you see O'Malley on his back at least once, until he puts Merab on his face. You know, that's kind of how I see this fight going. I'm a Shook stan. I'm biased. I've never picked against him. But when I think about how I've thought about Sean O'Malley fights in the past, like with Petr Yan, with Aljamain Sterling, I was a lot more nervous. I don't feel that same threat from Merab. I feel the threat of the takedown, but if you look at his last couple of fights, he's not doing a lot of damage on the ground. Like Petr Yan, that fight is just a massacre of cardio. But if you look at Merab's ground strikes, 0. Henry Cejudo, known for his wrestling. Merab went out there and out-wrestled him. 10 ground strikes. So he's not doing a lot of that damage, which is what worries me. And I'm not saying he can't, and I'm not saying he hasn't. I'm just saying in the last couple fights, it's been few and far between. Sugar Sean, I think something he doesn't get credit for is if you go back and you look at the Petr Yan fight, which was the only real fight where he's had to fight off of his back, he's active. He's active. He's not just sitting there. He's not giving up on that position. He's looking for submissions and ways to get back up. He's using submission attempts to get himself back up. And Merab is just this non-stop chain wrestling. The problem with that is he's used to fighting guys like Petr Yan, who's 5'5" or 5'7", and Henry Cejudo, who's 5'5". When you got Sean O'Malley at 5'11", it's gonna be harder for him to get in. Because of that, I think he's gonna have to take a couple more chances, which may lead to him getting put out on his face. That's my pick, Sugar Sean O'Malley by knockout. I am biased. I'm gonna be wearing a Sean O'Malley shirt. I don't give a fuck. I think if Merab's gonna win, it's just gonna be simply outworking him. It may be a decision, but it's not gonna happen. Sean O'Malley's gonna crack him in the face just like he did Aljo, and he's gonna go down. That being said, I think Merab beats Umar. I think the wrestling pressure is too much for a lot of fighters. When you got the power that Suge has, like he says, it only takes one mistake. Merab's gonna rush into shots. It's just his style. So if he finds the button, it may be lights out for the boy. Official picks, UFC 306, Sugar Sean O'Malley, Alexa Grasso, Diego Lopez. That's a wrap.